et cetera. So we'll keep it like we're playing the roles, and then we'll get out of the roles at the end. We're giving feedback. So for me, I have had many years in human resources as chief people officer. A lot of business strategy work I've done. I also sit on a couple of boards that are public with quantum computing and managed IT services. And I've been at Pepsi, Disney, Cisco, Sun. I'm dating myself. There's a couple of startups that I took public, and then most recently I'm with Dayforce, a big software company that works on human capital management. I'm really excited to be here. Please introduce yourself.
Wow, it's hard to follow that.
I'm a lot older than you, by the way.
Goals then. My name is Laura Garrity. Happy to be here. I won't dive into my background to divulge too much information, but I've worked in financial consulting, municipal bonds, so think of schools, bridges. I was the one building the analysis for to create those and make them a reality, and then asset management, strategy, and trader. And then now I own my own financial consulting company, and our business model is to give back. So ethical issues and how to make this world a better place are very important to me. So I think what you guys are doing is great, and I know it's beyond your day-to-day work, so good job.
You go next.
I'm Tom McClune. I'm a recovering accountant. I was a partner at Arthur Andersen. You kind of know the story. Well, you may not know the story. You might know the story of Arthur Andersen. And I've been providing consulting services for well over 30 years, currently at a company called Protivity.
Yeah, I'm Wally Turner. I bring a few things to the table. First of all, I worked in the computer business for 45 years. And I'm 91, and that is a contribution because anybody who lived this long can be sad. I'm glad you're wearing black. I appreciate that. I when I was working for IBM, I specialized in the retail trade, and this was in the 60s, okay, 70s. And in the real trade, one of the things that we were trying to accomplish in that time frame was the establishment of the point of sale device, and the barcode was key to it.
Yeah, that's great.
And the problem with all the software is it was there, and we finally came up with a design, but there were very few companies that put barcodes on their product. So we had to wait many, many years before we got a real effect of it now. And now it's incredible. You know,
It's everywhere. Yeah.
that's for sure. But anyway, I've had a little experience on barcode.
Great.
My name is Katie Dominici. I've worked in a variety, I'm a utility player, jack of all trades, worked in CPG, pharma, in the events business, in a variety, mostly revenue-based and also mergers and acquisitions, and own my own consulting firm now.
I love the entrepreneurial spirit. All right, before I start the timer, I want to have each of you introduce yourselves, please.
My name is Owen Hennis. My major is in accounting, and
That's good enough.
is that all? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
My name is Abby Van Voren. I'm a marketing major with an entrepreneurship minor.
You're going to have to speak louder.
My name is Caitlin Lawler, and I'm an accounting major with a minor in service leadership.
Fantastic.
Good morning, my name is Gustavo Luca. I am a junior studying computer science with a minor in entrepreneurship.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to put the timer on now. And go ahead and tell us what our roles are and your roles are, and we'll get started.
Well, good morning, Kroger's Board of Directors. We are Goodwill Consulting. We first want to thank you for taking the time to hire us and let us take a role on helping you reach your goals. We aim to look beyond the barcode to understand the complex issues surrounding food poverty and food waste, further allowing us to provide effective solutions. We are a consulting firm, and we are here today to help you reduce your environmental footprint, streamline inventory management, and maximize profitability so you can better feed the human spirit. But first, let's introduce our team. My name is Abby Van Voren. I'm the Sustainable Operations Lead.
My name is Caitlin Lawler, and I'm the consulting lead.
My name is Gustavo Luca, and I'm a systems integration lead.
And my name is Owen Hennis. I'm the legal research lead.
We are Goodwill Consulting, like I said. We're a sustainability consulting firm that aims at helping companies like Kroger reach their goals. Specifically today, we're going to be focusing on their goals of zero hunger and zero waste. The United Nations has outlined Sustainable Development Goals, 17 of them. And Kroger has outlined in their mission that they want to help people have more access to food and divert waste. So that is our goal today, to lower hunger. So zero hunger is goal number 2. And goal number 12 is to reduce responsible consumption and production.
Before we dive in, let's take a moment to discuss our agenda for today. We'll begin with a brief introduction into the issues of food waste and food poverty and how we are approaching those challenges. And from there, we'll go into your goals, your company goals and progress as the Kroger Board of Directors. Your efforts are truly commendable, and with that, we also recognize that there remains an opportunity for even more growth. So that brings us to our solution. We will introduce a comprehensive proposal that will help elevate your impact and further your achievement of your Sustainable Development Goal targets. From there, we will discuss the financial, legal, and ethical dimensions of the presentation before opening up the floor for any questions you may have.
Awesome. Well, everyone, allow me to introduce you to Andy the Apple. He's been grown and handpicked in Washington State, where he then traveled thousands of miles to reach a local Kroger. He's sorted, cleaned, and stocked, and now he sits on the shelves, waiting to be chosen. But here's the truth. 2 in 5 apples like Andy never make it home to a table, while simultaneously millions of Americans go hungry. This isn't just Andy's story. This is the story of 40% of food in America annually going to waste. To fully understand the scope of this issue, we need to understand what food poverty is, and what food insecurity is, and what food waste is. Food waste is the loss of perfectly edible food because of error like overproduction, overstocking, or stocking errors or distribution errors. And food waste is food insecurity is the lack of access to affordable nutritional food. This is a deeply interconnected societal issue that affects people at both the consumer and personal level. And to understand a little bit about the ethics, I want to point you guys to Kroger's mission of feeding the human spirit. They've outlined that they want to help people, and they want to feed people. They feed people, millions of people daily. And ethically, we want to promote the common good, the care of the common good. We want to have equal access for everyone to have food and no one's going hungry.
Kroger, you're already leading the charge in tackling food waste and food poverty, and your efforts are, once again, incredible. You are already, through strategic partnerships, you're building meaningful connections with organizations and nonprofits such as Feeding America and local food banks, helping to recover and distribute surplus food to communities in need. Since 2017, you have donated over 700 million pounds of surplus food to those in need. Through your sustainable innovative funding, you donate to startups and innovation ideas to help bridge any gaps and create ethical solutions. And through that kind of funds your zero waste commitment. One of your largest goals that is in your top tier of your focus is to achieve 95% food diversion from landfills in your stores by 2025. This goal is very ambitious and it's truly incredible. Bringing us to our market gap though, so while you have achieved 52% of your food waste diversion goal, which is over half, there is still a 43% gap. This goal is rather ambitious and bold, and it can prove to be a challenge. Due to external factors, it can be tough to achieve, and so that's why we are here to help you come up with some new solutions and strengthen your further systems to help close this gap and elevate your impact even further.
just for some context, Kroger operates 2,800 stores in 35 different states under 28 different brand names. And last year they were responsible for 19% of grocery visits, which and they encompass 10%. The market share was 10%.
Good morning, board members. I'm here to propose a solution that is not only going to reduce waste and maximize profit, it's also going to strengthen Kroger's hold as market leader in sustainable grocery practices. All the while being in an environment where even small improvements in waste reduction are going to lead to maximized profits. Imagine being able to predict exactly how much milk, how much bread, and how many eggs you need to order to keep your shelves properly stocked. This is the promise of Amsterdam, an open source AI tool developed by leading researchers at the University of Amsterdam. Open source means that the program is free to use, it's completely transparent and available online, and it's being constantly refined by leading researchers across the globe. It doesn't mean your data is open source. Once you download the program and implement it across all your stores, your data will be kept locally, stored locally, and kept under lock and key. Now, Amsterdam doesn't just guess when ordering your inventory. It accurately simulates each one of your Kroger stores and the ins and outs of the Kroger system. This allows it to accurately predict exactly how much demand there's going to be and ensures minimal waste and shortages across all stores. Now, Kroger, you already have an automated inventory management system. It's called Shelf Engine. However, Shelf Engine is based on historical data and it uses traditional methods to forecast demand. This is okay, but when something unexpected happens, it could lead to understocking, which would contribute directly to hunger, or it could lead to overstocking, which would contribute directly to waste across the United States. Amsterdam is different. It uses a different formula to consider all possible outcomes. It's kind of like having a weather forecasting system that is able to predict whether there will be sun, rain, or even a storm. If there's a 10% chance that a snowstorm is going to double soup prices, Amsterdam is able to prepare for that. If a new TikTok trend starts and it becomes viral and Apple demand rises, Amsterdam is able to prepare for that. So evidently, we live in an era where there's a lot of market unpredictability. And in this scenario, we would like to propose an algorithm that is able to prepare for anything and expect the unexpected. Now, this is from a research paper. So they ran some tests on comparing Amsterdam against other traditional algorithms. There's no way of knowing exactly what algorithm Shelf Engine uses since they don't feature open source data. However, when analyzing the market and analyzing its performance, we can compare it to DQN, which was one of the algorithms that they tested Amsterdam against. What they did was they simulated a grocery environment at under 3 different levels of volatility. Low volatility means that demand can be accurately predicted. Medium volatility means that there's some randomness in the demand, and high volatility obviously means there's high randomness in the demand. And they tested exactly how much waste was reduced in each system, under each system. And we took an average of those values and found that Amsterdam was left with 7.06% less waste in their system compared to DQN. So this contributes directly to reducing overstocking, and that's great. But as a grocery store, you want to make sure that your shelves are properly stocked so no customer goes into your store and leaves empty-handed because they couldn't find their favorite product. So we also measured how much they boosted profit by. This ensures that they keep their shelves properly stocked. We did the same experiment over the same levels of volatility, and taking the average, we were able to find that Amsterdam boosted profit by 4.14% on average compared against other traditional algorithms. So this is not just an ethically attractive proposition, reducing waste and also trying to eliminate hunger. It is also a highly economically viable and even lucrative proposal. Now, Amsterdam doesn't just go into the store and make guesses. It has to learn about Kroger and how it works, which is why this paper also proposed retail, a virtual simulation environment that takes each individual Kroger store and builds a digital recreation of it for Amsterdam to test its algorithm against. It's a 4-step plan. First, we feed Kroger's data into the system, into retail, to allow it to accurately simulate profits, demands, and what sold and what didn't. Retail then builds an accurate virtual simulation of each individual store. And then Amsterdam plays millions of variations or games in this same system and learning from the outcome of each previous game. So as it plays more and more, it learns more about Kroger, about the ins and outs, and is able to optimize its ordering system. At the end, once Amsterdam is ready and knows exactly how many Andy the apples need to be ordered, it is put on, it is deployed and able to take decisions at a company level. Now, Sammy Julian, the first author of the paper and the lead architect of Amsterdam, was pretty enthusiastic about being able to adapt retail and train it with Kroger data to accurately simulate Kroger's system. So there is a highly lucrative opportunity available.
Coupled with the Amsterdam, we have the Evidence Fresh Sense stickers. These are stickers that allow us to track the temperature and the amount of time the sticker has been on the apple, essentially giving us an accurate depiction of how fresh the actual apple is itself. The stickers will be applied at the distribution center before it even arrives at Kroger, allowing for us to have more precise information on how fresh the fruit actually is. So when it gets to the store with the sticker on, this also allows for the Kroger team to accurately go through and say, hey, this one is bad, but it's not so bad, we can donate it. It also allows for them to pull product off the shelf if they have to. And then they can also mark down accordingly and efficiently and effectively.
All right, let's talk numbers. Now, we estimate that a full implementation of Amsterdam across all Kroger stores would cost about $100 million over 3 years. The bulk of this cost is in training the Amsterdam algorithm in the retail environment and also adapting the retail environment to accurately simulate Kroger's stores. Meanwhile, Evidence's total cost is $68.6 million per year. We took this number by considering 44 distribution centers across the United States for Kroger, of which about 300,000 cases per week ship out of fresh produce, which would apply for Evidence's sticker. And we were able to obtain a cost of about 10 cents per sticker, totaling to $68.6 million. Now, we've decided to be conservative with our estimate and assume that Evidence is not going to reduce waste at all in the first few years. And we've just totaled a total cost after 3 years of Amsterdam and Evidence combined of around $300 million. Meanwhile, Kroger's food waste per year, from data from the annual report that they released in 2023, is of about $26.8 billion. We were able to estimate a total reduction in waste of about 11%, again, deciding to be conservative with the estimates that Evidence gave us on reducing waste, and also combining that with the results from the experiment that Amsterdam ran, that I showed previously, and taking the average of it, a reduction in waste of about 11%. In the first year, taking into account the total cost after 3 years of implementation and rollout, and how much money they would save in food waste, there would be a total of $2.65 billion saved in the first year.
So let's talk a little bit about the financial benefits of food donations. With the Evidence stickers, they allow you to keep track of produce and they notify you you can identify when they are about to go bad with the color changing and the simple scanning. And so as you do that, there's an increased ability to pull items off the shelf in time to donate them so that your donations have a longer lifetime. So currently you guys use a lot of markdowns as well as donate to Feeding America, and other local food banks. With evidence, donations are a lot easier they're a lot more, you can donate a lot more. And so we are proposing that you lean into donating versus markdowns, because under the IRS tax code 170 section E3, companies like Kroger can get a tax deduction of the entire wholesale cost plus up to 50% of the markup cost as a tax deduction. So with that example, assuming a bag of apples at your store is $6.99 and a 37% markup that we calculated brings it down about $2.59. That leaves the wholesale cost of $4.40. Now taking that tax deduction, you get that $4.40 back plus up to 50% of that markup cost, which we calculated to be about $1.30. So that brings it to a total tax deduction of $5.70 instead of, let's say, marking it down to $4.50. And so that provides a financial benefit, but it's also ethical. More donations are more, like giving donations provide accessibility to and fresh food to those in need instead of customers at your store. So we think that this is a really great idea to increase the accessibility and help align with Sustainable Development Goal number 2, Zero Hunger, by making food more accessible to those in need.
So the advantage to there are laws set in place to help Kroger with donating. The Good Samaritan Act allows them to, when they donate with good faith, they can't be held liable for any of the food they donate. And because of the fresh sensor, they can more accurately know if they are donating, if it's spoiled or not. So there's never any risk of them being held liable, like for getting somebody sick into that way. And last year, actually, Nestle used similar technology in their business, and they were able to reduce their recalls by about 22% in a single year using similar technology. So right now, there's basically two levels to this. We have our immediate wins and then our future wins. Immediately, you can get a 5 to 15% increase on tax savings alone just from these stickers. And then in the future, because of the in real time tracking with the evidence sensors, it allows you to be audit ready because your books are just constantly being updated, and it'll lead to Kroger leading the market because they will be the first to implement this in the grocery store industry.
Awesome. So tying back to ethics and those United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, we are hoping that Kroger can make a more just world, and we want to follow through with their mission, zero hunger and zero waste, and feeding the human spirit. By reducing waste and putting more food on people's tables, we are doing so. We are reducing the waste that's going to landfills and diverting 95% of food, as well as we're lowering that percentage of people that are facing food insecurity day by day. This is creating for a more just world, and that's exactly what Kroger's mission is doing, and this is why we're very thankful that you guys hired us to help you in following through with that plan.
Thank you, Abby. Kroger. Your mission statement to feed the human spirit is more than just a slogan. It's a call to action. We believe that our proposed solution is aligning directly with that purpose. You have a chance to pair compassion and innovation and prove that they can be done together. You have a chance to show the world that that large companies like this are capable of reducing critical issues in the world, such as food poverty and hunger. Through Evidence Fresh Sense in Amsterdam, these solutions allow you to reduce waste and make food more accessible and donate more. Fresh Sense allows for real-time data tracking and enables you to pull items off the shelf in time to enhance viability of donations. And Amsterdam allows you to optimize your inventory, reduce stockouts and any overstock issues, and smooth your kind of overall operations in your supply chain. But so the bottom line is that this solution helps you, it aligns and supports your bottom line. It helps your company, it helps your people, and it brings profitability, as well as addressing these two critical goals, these sustainable development goals that you guys have outlined and addressed. But more so, it's about the people. It's about families who need, families who are in need of access to fresh food. It's about food banks who are stretching every donation, and it's about children who may find fresh apples in their lunch instead of seeing them be tossed away. This leaves 8 apples on the table, 2 in a food bank, and 0 in the trash. Our solutions allow for Andy the apple to be in the hands of a happy consumer, and we truly believe that with these solutions, your vision can really come to life of helping promote responsible consumption and production and reduce hunger. Thank you.
We'll now open it up for any
Very good,
questions.
all right. So I'll start off as the lead judge with a question. So we talked a lot about the benefits of the ethics behind this. What are any sort of downsides to your proposal that we should be considering in relationship to ethical, performance and outcomes?
One potential downside you guys could have with automation would be possibly displacing certain people from their jobs. There are ways to mitigate this, however. As long as you focus on training existing personnel to manage the new system and to learn how to possibly finance university tracks or technical courses to be able to properly contribute to the system, there are ways to mitigate this risk of potentially displacing jobs through automation.
Other questions?
Gustavo, you talked a lot about the demand planning, the AI solution to tailor demand to each one of our stores. Can you talk about the supply side of that equation? So demand's great, but apples, avocados from Mexico with tariffs, can you talk about the supply to meet that demand? Or say pass, Lucas.
I gotta think about that one.
Can you maybe word that a little differently? I think I get what you're
So
saying.
you
but
know how
like-
many Andy apples you need at a store, but what if they're not available?
So what if there's an understock?
Or they're just not available?
Well,
Washington State can't produce them or something.
this could potentially happen in theory with any waste management, automated waste management program. It's
Well, they're not in the equation at all if they don't show up. So therefore, you've got nothing to worry about, except we need more apples. And that's all.
I think that one of the potential concerns with Amsterdam is ensuring that you don't have an understock like you outlined. As far as the supply side goes, we could get you guys more information on that. We talked directly to, Gustavo talked directly to the author of the paper, and I'm not sure if the author had any insights on that. But I think that with your guys' strong partnerships with your suppliers, things could kind of be worked out, and I think they get pretty consistent. You guys get pretty consistent deliveries. I researched that you guys have gotten. You typically get deliveries every night except Tuesdays and Saturdays, and so you are on a pretty regular schedule with those deliveries. So potentially, if one day one of your suppliers did not have apples or avocados, or if something went wrong, you would likely have them the next day, or have another supplier that you could turn to.
So, quick, it kind of stems from your question. The AI tool makes sense, right? To make our supply chain more efficient. And I understand that our current tool is backward looking. So this gives us forward capabilities, and maybe there's possibilities to look at other sources for supply and navigate the current volatility in the markets with the tariffs and a lot of unknowns. Did you look at additional products besides the Amsterdam tool and maybe pros and cons of each that these AI tools may help us or hurt us?
So we took a look mainly at the research paper that we had researched previously, and in it outlined its performance against other possible traditional systems on the market. One benefit about Shelf Engine is it promises to buy back whatever waste you have in the system once you're done. So whatever you have left over, Shelf Engine promises to buy back. However, how do they deal with this waste? It's unknown. So this is a more ethically viable solution. Perhaps there's some economic downside to using this as opposed to Shelf Engine because you don't have that safety net. However, contributing to less waste and contributing to helping reduce hunger in the United States is one of the pros of our solution.
Adding on to what Gustavo said, we did look into other AI and machine learning systems, and we found that a lot of them require specific licenses that can cost a lot, or they have large fees. And the benefit with this source is a large benefit is that it is open sourced. And so while it protects your privacy and it does not publish your data, you guys wouldn't need to get a specific license for it. And that would also lower your costs, making profitability maximized.
It's also a common trend in the technology world nowadays that open source is incredibly innovative. It's since you have a worldwide team of researchers who can contribute to this project and move it forward, there is a level of innovation that is simply not found in privately held companies. So, for example, DeepSeek, the new AI, is completely open source. You can find all of the online data for free, and it has a better performance than ChatGPT, which is OpenAI, privately held company.
I thought your financials were obviously very clear on the system costs. I wanted to understand with having evidence in the fresh stickers from an operational cost, were those taken into account? Because I'm sure that there's extra labor and I don't know if that falls on us or whomever. Can you delve into any additional costs that are not tech to implementing this?
Yeah, so while reaching our conclusion for the financials, we did include the amount of labor in training employees to work with the system. However, at your distribution center, the stickers will be put on, and so that will be a pretty seamless process. It's not on each individual fruit or vegetable or produce item. We kind of have it by batch or per 3-pound bag of apples or things like that. And so that eliminates some of that extra labor. But with your process, we kind of considered the labor with your current process of putting stickers or printing out the current labels. It just is essentially seamlessly replaced with these evidence stickers. And then it would just be a matter of having employees in store at each location be trained for about an hour or two of to know how to scan the sticker and to kind of deal with the information.
One other, go ahead, bud.
I was just gonna say, as well as we talked to Evidence, we actually met with them and we talked to them about integrating this into Kroger's system, and they broke us down. Like the contract cost would be, if we're buying about 68 billion stickers a year, that would be 10 cents per sensor. So
Yeah, the key to this being successful is the checkout clerk, okay? That person has to be well trained. And where they're weak is in order to speed up the process of checking out, they'll do lazy things like if you've got peach juice versus
Tomato juice.
pineapple juice or whatever it is, and they're the same can, they'll scan peach twice, and it's pineapple, so therefore that throws your inventory. Is your system, compare that to what was input as far as stocking? is concerned, so that you know there's a difference.
If I could answer to that, when I met with the VP of Sales, she told me that you are able to scan, since the sensors are smart, you are able to scan multiple sensors at the same time as soon as they come in, and it automatically just divides them into categories based off of the product that the container holds. So a lot of the work is taken off of the employee, and it's simply carried on by IBESCC, which then sorts all of it and uploads all of the data, completely divided and categorized into a cloud.
I think the question is does it take into consideration that the POS data could actually be different than the data in evidence, and how does that get reconciled? So when you're checking out, obviously, you know, there can be differences in data, and so who's the main stakeholder? How do you deal with any discrepancies, I guess?
So I would say that evidence would mainly take over. It would couple with the current POS system, and the cashiers would be well trained, and it would kind of integrate seamlessly. The technology would, and so there isn't any necessarily big difference in reconciling data. It's more so replacing their entire inventory system, and along with that kind of translates to their checkout system, if that's what you're asking.
That's a clarifying question. Are we referring to the
Well,
SK?
I'm not asking to replace it, I'm asking them to make sure that your program recognizes that difference and compares what's on the shelf and what's coming off the shelf. Okay, and so that gives you shelf life, which is important, as well as inventory, and which again can lead to all sorts of conclusions that'll really help everybody.
I understand. Okay, thank you so much for that. That was a great explanation. So when these evidence stickers are scanned at checkout, it transmits that data to the overall technology, and it kind of puts in. I'm not as tech savvy, but it essentially sends a message saying that it has been bought. So it will either say it has been bought or that it is being donated. And the sensor stickers still continue to work. So customers at their house or wherever they take the food can still see it. But according to the technology in Kroger store, it will kind of check a tick box of it has been either sold or it has been donated.
I have a question. Ethically speaking, the more you transport or touch something through different handlers, you're probably creating some greenhouse gas emissions, or using transportation. Have you thought about what impact that would be? Because you're now moving it from the store, maybe not into a dump, which has its own cost implications, but then you're having to like have a truck go deliver to the Second Harvest Food Bank. Did you think about any of that as an ethical consideration?
We did actually, yeah. So Kroger already partners with Feeding America, and they have their own organizational system of transporting stuff. It's like twice a week, but basically they can call Feeding America at any point. It does, obviously gas does emit some issues. We did look into partnering with an app called Olio that would allow people to a little bit more easier pick up things. Like say, Andy the apple needs to be donated, we need someone to pick it up. It could have individual volunteers like come and pick it up. The only thing is we already had like 2 solutions, and we didn't know if that would be overloading, as well as Olio's only been tested in the UK, and we're not sure, America's obviously larger scale. So that could possibly be something we look to in the future for reducing that waste and relying on the goodness of volunteers in the community to reduce emissions. But
And with Olio, we did look into the emissions that it would bring, and while we didn't have an exact number because we didn't exactly know how many people would be, driving to come and pick it up, we can assume that the more individuals that are coming, the more likely it is that individual methods of transportation will be used, which would emit more bad, it would create more emissions. And so with Evidence, it is a more, I would say, seamless process where they can either continue their regularly scheduled pickups of Feeding America, or you guys can decide to have more or less, but it will be actually more kind of cohesive, I would say. And because it's just simply, okay, this one is, the sticker is notifying us, so we put it here, and then the same system, the Feeding America comes and picks it up. And with regards to your question on the, going from the distribution center and creating more gases, the stickers are currently already put on at their distribution centers. And so the products are essentially creating the same amount. We did not find a way to necessarily reduce the amount, other than our assumption was just with food waste, less food being thrown in the landfill, less pickups for that wasted food. So kind of some less emissions and redirecting that food into people who need it, if that answers your question.
One quick question about this new open source model. There's going to be time from the launch to when it's fully operated, the data has been learned, etc. And you said, I think you touched on the legality point, and I wrote it down, under donations in good faith that we would be protected. Maybe say 3 days in, the AI model is still learning, it selects apples that are, bad, we're donating them. Are we still protected even though we might still be in the transitional phase of this? Or are we gonna be running the old model side by side simultaneously with the new model?
So that would be one option, would be running it side by side. However, there is a 36-month implementation phase that would accurately train the Amsterdam AI model with each of the Kroger stores. So there would be the rollout phase accounts for training time and for setting up each virtual environment and allowing the agent to learn the ins and outs of each Kroger system. It's highly unlikely that a situation like that would happen.
Yeah, you've defined the problem pretty well. Have you started coding?
Sorry?
Have you started coding?
So all of the code is available online from the research paper publishers. I was able to access it and actually download and run it on my laptop.
Are there any regulatory issues to deal with here as part of your solution, like food safety?
So one thing that was kind of a benefit, and we looked into this with our other possible solutions as well, but then settled on these two. These laws, like the Good Samaritan Act and the other acts that Owen mentioned.
Yeah, California SB, I think it's 1383. No, they just essentially, I don't know, they just kind of keep you.
Time is up.
You know, never mind.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Say it again.
I think if I may.
Keep going. I was just trying to.
So your company would be protected, and once the food is out of your hands, it's off of your chest legally. You have done your part, and the sensors are accurate and have been tested enough, and because of that time and temperature. So let's say there's yogurt that was in the delivery truck for too long. That sensor can tell what temperature it's been at, as well as how long it's been left out. And so that tells, that will give you a notification of, hey, the temperature has reached its low point or its high point. This is no longer safe to consume. And so that would then be turned into some of your other processes, such as composting or, and I want to say anaerobic digestion, or things like that being turned into animal feed. So it would not be wasted because you guys have other methods of, like handling that waste with good intent to the environment. But yeah, so the stickers are accurate and they let you know when something's getting too hot or going spoiled, as well as how long it's been out. So it actually provides you with more comfort and I would say security that the products that you are either selling or donating are safe to eat and are at good temperatures and have not been out for too long.
Thank you.
Could you put up the financial slide again, please? The reduction in waste, the 11%, I guess I wanted to learn a little more about that because typically for retailers, if you could save 1% on something, it would be a massive impact. Right, so seeing 11% jumps out at me, even with a $300 million capital.
I'm surprised it's not higher, to tell you the truth.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Because saving, again, on a
The margins are super narrow is what you're getting towards.
Yeah, our margins are tiny, right?
Yeah.
To be able to save up to 1% on food, like I said, we would throw a massive party to be able to do that. So I guess I would just want to kind of test the theory, right, that we could actually achieve something like 11%. And I guess related to that was kind of what's the range of outcomes do we think there is? Obviously different kinds of products, different shelf lives, different spoilage, different waste. Anytime you change anything in the supply chain or distribution, you're gonna have some shrinkage as well, a little additional shrinkage, at least temporarily. This is gonna roll out over a few years. I'm just curious if you considered that in coming up with these numbers.
Yeah, so our total reduction in waste was calculated from taking the numbers published in the research paper by how much Amsterdam would reduce waste compared with other systems, which was 7%. And of our conversations with the VP of Sales from Evigens, they estimated that it would extend shelf life for perishables by 25%, which would reduce waste considerably. We made a conservative estimate of about 15%, added the two, and took an average of 11.03%. That's how we got to our numbers.
Okay, so you feel pretty confident in this, basically this range of savings, because this is kind of the key kind of variable here in kind of determining what our financial return is going to be.
So we could definitely establish a range of variability in this estimate. Not sure what that number would be. However, we are pretty confident in the fact that it would reduce waste in the system overall. And if, as you have mentioned, the grocery store margins are razor thin, this would considerably affect your operations nationally. If you are perhaps having some doubts over the total reduction in waste, I might recommend rolling out a pilot program. For example, for Amsterdam, we initially considered a 6-month pilot program over 100 stores, which would cost around only $10 million. So perhaps taking your time with the implementation and testing out the numbers before would be in your interest.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think you'd want to do different categories of products and so on. Some trial and error.
And additionally, I think that kind of one of the benefits of our comprehensive solution is that we do have 2 different tools that we're proposing that you implement. And so with those 2 tools working together, that kind of explains and brings up the total reduction in waste higher than it would be with just the Evigens stickers or just the Amsterdam algorithm.
I have another question. That's a great question there, because we want to make certain, as the operating committee, that we are being responsibly, ethically, but also responsibly fiduciarily. Is there a benefit also with composting? Because that's another way to be sustainable, right? And so your first priority focused on food insecurity?
Yes.
And then the second would be, let's say they're too rotten to get, so then you would do the compost. And have you thought about how that would work? Do you have relationships with the composter so that that's a viable thing to go right to?
So Kroger already does do a substantial amount of compost. The thing is that there's not like needed demand. That 95% of things that are diverted to landfills are because there's already enough compost being done. And at the same time that there are also a lot of people hungry. That's why we wanted to focus on both goals, because their zero waste, zero hunger mission does tie them together. And we understand that 1 in 8 Americans facing food insecurity is a big issue. And by implementing both of these programs, we're solving both at the same time. So we will still have enough compost, and we still will be using that avenue. At the same time, we can feed more hungry people.
And that goal is around, is it SDG 2? You just
Yes,
said?
the
Okay.
SDG 2 is zero hunger, and then SDG 12 is responsible consumption and production.
Additionally, in your company's ESG report, your environmental sustainability goal
Governance.
report, I want to say, You've identified food poverty and accessibility as one of your top, like your tier number one goals to focus on. And it's additionally one that you guys are actively working towards because you're not satisfied with the strides that you guys have made. So that is why we directed the donation solution, because you guys, as you know, per your mission statement, your goal is to feed the human spirit, and you talk a lot in your sustainability report about food poverty and food hunger and ensuring that accessibility, and not as much with the composting or the anaerobic digestion and things like that. And so that is why we put that priority there. And additionally, you guys do already have you would keep your strong partnerships with the farms and the companies that you guys donate to for that to be turned into animal feed or composted for agriculture farms and soil. And so that process would kind of stay the same, but the donations would really increase. And that would help you guys reach your target of achieving 95% food diversion from landfills even more, as well as your other goal to align more to SDG number 2 and up accessibility to food.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I know you're back there. Any more questions for you?
Just a quick question, did you consider any other alternatives? Like, for example, funding more, biodynamic sustainable farming or technology? Obviously, there's a huge amount of money being invested in that, and some of the biggest food companies in the world are supporting that. I just wondered if you maybe compared what the investment was like, what the return was like, and how it could help us achieve our ethical goals as well.
Absolutely. So one second, collect my thoughts. So you guys, your company, I'm so sorry. Could you repeat that question?
Sure, I was just saying if you considered any other ways
Yes.
of achieving this that maybe, could achieve maybe similar goals, lower investment, help us achieve our brand objectives.
We thought this was the best route. We did do that. We thought this was the best route only because it helps with the ethics side of it, but also Kroger is a business and they want to make money as well. They want to be ethically good, yes, but they also, so we thought this would be the best idea because it led to the 11% total reduction in waste, and we thought that was more impactful. And we were still also trying to be green as well. So that's kind of the route.
Are there other alternatives you looked at, or this was the?
So we were definitely looking. We spent a large portion of a considerable portion of our time in research phase looking at possible solutions and how to implement them. For example, you brought up oleo and how we considered implementing them into our solution before deciding that your current efforts are enough in food donation and how to actually work with your donations towards feeding America. Right now, none of them are coming into mind as to what we researched and what we considered. However, when we ran the numbers, we found that Evidence and Amsterdam were the most financially viable options while also reducing the waste by the larger margin.
Yeah, the one other input to your system that doesn't challenges the accuracy, and that's a self-checkout. Because who knows what they're gonna do in a self-checkout, You're liable to scan the same can 15 times, and you don't know that.
So that is unfortunately a problem kind of overall in the grocery retail business. Stores are, including your guys' stores are kind of cracking down on that self-checkout, having employees monitor the self-checkout and make sure that customers are scanning as they should. And so the scanning systems at the self-checkout will be the same as the scanning systems as at the cashier. So that will still monitor the inventory. When it comes to customers being unethical and scanning the same thing or making mistakes, I guess the answer would just be unfortunately those things do happen. But with your guys' increased employee monitoring and cameras that you have invested in recent years, that is being minimized.
And I would say you only have 15 items in self-checkout, so I
Right.
think the
Yeah, it
volume might
is-
be less necessarily low, at
Yes.
least that's what I find. All right, so I think we're ready to wrap up if we may. So I think now we can be ourselves, right, not be the operating committee. So I'd love to get some feedback from the judges on, sort of the performance and.
So well done, congratulations to getting to the stage. Love it that you didn't read cards, you didn't read the slides were good, there wasn't text heavy slides, I like the logo. I like the story of Andy the Apple, people like stories, you could even done that more, and you kind of ran through an like 2 + 2. That's a powerful message, you ran through that too quickly. So that was all good. Maybe credentialize yourself. So I don't know anything about your firm, so why should we listen to you? So just, brag a little bit about how great you are and you spend all this time in this space. It's okay not to know the answer. So good question, can I get back to you? Or good question, can I understand a little bit more of what you're trying to achieve? And we'll get back to you because you don't know everything. That's fine. We tied the solution to our strategy, mission, operations. I thought that was great. That's some of my.
Thank you. Well, first of all, I thought you guys were very knowledgeable of your topic, and we threw some questions at you. And the hard part about doing this is we're business people, so sometimes we're asking you technical questions. That's not really the intention of this, but it also shows how well you thought through it, right? And I think you guys were you had a very direct tie around the sustainability to what your solution is. And I think you picked something that wasn't boiling the ocean, because I've seen some where, they're introducing AI in a very different way, and how to how to really tie that to sustainability. In some instances it's difficult. So I thought yours was it's a good use case on how to really tie those together. I also think that each of you, contributed, which is super important. And again, if you don't know the answer, say, I'll get back to you. And I thought your pacing was good, because sometimes you think you're talking too fast and you really aren't. If you think, like, I'm gonna talk like this, it doesn't show up that way. And I thought you guys did a really, good pacing to it all. I think the only thing I would say is maybe I would have put up, like, what are the other alternative solutions you considered that were still ethical? Or you could say, we considered these, and while they had a good return, they were probably not down the path of our ethical solutions, just to kind of show that you had more of a fulsome view of what was available. And I think it sounds like you did look at that, but maybe documenting that might have been helpful, for sure.
Everyone likes options.
Yeah, we all like options,
We're
right?
shoppers, right?
Yeah,
So you gotta give
exactly,
me an option.
exactly. And then one question I did have was, what is the addressable market of what you're looking at in terms of product? Because there's product in boxes that have like 50-year shelf lives, right? There's products like, avocados that have so much time. So I don't know if I was clear on that. Maybe I missed that.
That might be, I might have skimmed over, this was like particularly in the produce
All
section.
produce, okay.
Correct, yeah, sorry,
No, that's okay. I may have missed that
Are
piece.
you referring to the evidence solution directly or also the Amsterdam consideration?
Both. Because I think if I was as an executive committee member, I'm like, well, does this include eggs? Does this include
Yeah.
And I
Yogurt.
asked about the range of
Yeah.
Yeah.
shrinkage
Yes.
or categories, that's what I was.
For evidence, I can maybe I didn't I glossed over that as well, but evidence there, we talked about applying it to distribution centers, and about 30% of the 1 million cases that go out of distribution centers are perishables. So
And that's
the
what you'd be
sticker would be,
focused on, yes.
yeah, the stickers would be applied. That's how we calculated our financials, and that's how we went into this.
But that 2.6 billion was probably total shrink.
So we did actually factor perishables in. About 57% of your guys' sales are in perishable food items. And the full number of your sales is not on the top of my mind, but I do know around 87 billion of your sales is in perishables. And so this can kind of be applied to perishables. So anything that requires temperature, or anything with an expiration date. So eggs, yogurt, meat, seafood, any vegetables or refrigerated items and things like that. Kind of that whole natural food with those, perishable.
The shelf lives. Okay, thank you. So all in all, congratulations. I'm glad you're probably glad it's over, but I thought you did a really nice job.
I think you did a great job. Okay, you were well prepared and you practiced this a lot, I can tell. Okay, and it's a tough industry because they're getting rid of people by self-checking and things like that. And that's an issue that isn't being addressed by anybody out there. And it should be addressed. And I don't know how you address it with your product or not, because you're in the business of replacing people also. Okay? And that's a society problem, but it's really big in the food industry. Not only providing, but taking away. And I don't know how that's gonna get solved, but anyway, great job.
Super quick, great job. I like your body positioning, like facing us, making eye contact. That was great. I also liked how you laid out the mission of the company and then connected everything back to that, so we had reason to buy in. I'm great with that. I think you touched on that Kroger had 10% market share, around there. It would be visually compelling if you showed the before and after you implemented your strategy. And then really, I love the Apple example too.
Yeah.
It's relatable, it's tangible, visual, and then maybe at the end, some sort of visual showing that Apple, I think you
Journey
did.
of the apple. I was thinking the same thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
But other than that, great job and
Thank you.
Anything?
Yeah, you guys seem really knowledgeable. I like to focus on technology to kind of solve this problem and you know, kind of, I would have, as we were talking about before, maybe a range of different options considered. I also maybe would have taken a look at the competitive landscape and see what our competitors are doing, how they're addressing it. You know, obviously we can learn from them, good things, bad things, you know, things they've tried and haven't worked and so on. But yeah, thought it was really good. You guys were knowledgeable. I thought you addressed the points pretty clearly. And thank you for not reading the slides.
Yes.
Much appreciated.
I echo a lot of what everyone said, but I think one of the greatest aspects is that you were really measured in your delivery. And when we're passionate and knowledgeable, sometimes the emotion of it can get the best of it, but you seemed like a reliable source. And I think the way that you introduced yourselves, it was like a consulting firm, and the fact that you each kind of stayed in your lane. I thought that it was great that you had KPIs in a measurable way. I think you can always have backup slides on how you got there and everything like that. And I would just say your closing statement, I think Caitlin, was very, very good. I think the only thing that could make it more impactful is you're talking about something at the end of the day, it is financial, but it's also emotional. And I think you could draw that out a little bit more. And just for me, selfishly, I'm near the fan, so if you guys could bring up the decibels about 3, it would be really good.
Yeah.
But amazing job.
Yeah, your data was much more viable than the clock in this room.
Okay, so we have a few minutes left. So what do you guys want to do when you grow up?
They don't wanna grow up.
I can start with that one. I'm not sure yet. I'm a computer science major, but I'm also doing a minor in entrepreneurship and a minor in philosophy. I'm really enjoying exploring the different aspects of this, but this experience was really formative for me because obviously as a computer science major, I have an opportunity to work in consulting firms, and I would be doing essentially what I did today, which would be translating technical terms into business ready principles. So really grateful for this opportunity and how it kind of shaped my career process.
I am pursuing my CPA and my master's in accounting. I would love to start off working for a Big Four firm, potentially in audit or consulting. Consulting is a big interest of mine. From there, I have a service leadership minor that I'm getting, so we focus on bettering the community, and I do weekly community service and kind of working with people. I actually volunteer at food outreach. And so I'm really passionate about helping people as well as the business side and the accounting and financials and things like that. So I think a really cool job could be to kind of assess like risks associated with like new initiatives or kind of proposals, or you know what I mean, things like with ethics and sustainability in a financial services firm or an accounting firm.
Yeah, like I said, I'm a marketing major, but also outside of that, I'm a photographer, third generation. My grandfather, I use like his film camera, and I'm really glad you guys like the Andy story because that's what I try to illustrate in my photography. I want to tell a story. I'm also, taking pictures of soccer, different activities I'm in, definitely getting pictures here. So I want to ideally I would like to start a company in the next 5 years working in either product development. I'm sure photography will be a big part of that, and yeah, I guess we'll see. So
Like Caitlin, I'm gonna go to school, get master's CPA in master's in accounting, my CPA, and then one day I'll probably do taxes or auditing. But one day I would like to work for like a sports organization. I actually met with the St. Louis Blues, like their head accountant, this semester. I basically just picked his brain on how he got there, and he just told me be a public accountant, and then when an opportunity opens up, just go for it. So that's like
That's good advice.
the dream job right there. But
You guys know a whole lot more of what you wanna do than I did at this age, so I'm impressed.
We're passionate. It's exciting.
Can I ask you, I think you both said masters in accounting?
Yes. So we're doing the MAC program. So that it's a 5-year program. So we'll get our bachelor's and then our master's. And with our school, with our master's, we get our CPA. And so we'll go out having our CPA exam all done, having our exams all taken and everything. And that will give us more credibility and ability to kind of climb the, social corporate ladder.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, congratulations, well done.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.